Yes, raindrops. We got the star, yes, baby, of Grown and Gospel, Tasha Page Lockhart in the building.
I love that dance.
Well, I love you, and I also love my raindrops. So before we get started, make sure you all like and subscribe to this channel, this video, and hit the notification button so you don't miss an episode. So, Miss Tasha, let's get right into it. You are a Sunday Best winner. You are a part of an iconic family in Detroit, Michigan. You are a gospel great, my love. What made you want to do a show called Grown and Gospel? Because the folks were gagging when they saw Tasha Page Lockhart, honey, was a part of the cast.
You know, when it was brought to me, of course, I had some reservations. But I have been, people have been reaching out to me for some years about reality TV. I shot like 2 sizzle reels. And I know you've seen somebody was posting, they've been posting like, somebody missed it with this. This should have been the cast. I was just like, shoulda, woulda, it's not. So
wait, somebody been posting an old sizzle reel because they mad that Grown and Gospel is on
not
TV?
an old sizzle reel, but a picture of all of us. It was gospel something, with a picture with all of the ladies who were a part of it at the time, and was kind of piggybacking off of, yeah. So I was just like, oh God, but it never got picked up. So I was actually a part of 3 sizzle reels that never got picked up. Yes, and timing is everything, you know. This is so you just gotta wait on God, and you know now was the time. And I was going through something in my life. I've always been an open book. And I believe that God made me this way. I didn't really know how to, when it's like misplaced passion or zeal without wisdom, it's like dangerous. So when you have boldness, like how I do, if you don't have wisdom and you don't have a good tribe of people around you to help navigate, like, okay, that's too much. I run things by my circle before I say stuff, before I post, before I like, how did it sound? How did it look? Because I know my mouth and I know how I can be. And to me, it's like, this is the real, this is transparent. I know this is going to help people. And they'll be like, that sounds crazy. You can't post that. I'm like, but it's true. So you got to have like checks and balances. You got to have a system. And so I was just going through something in my life at the time. And I just prayed about it and got a release from God to do it. And then after having conversations with you and your staff, and how I just felt confident that you all would tell my story right. So,
well, I thank you. And the feeling is mutual because look, I have done plenty of sizzles that have not seen the time of day, child. But that's just the way the business works. We are in a business to where you constantly pitch, and everyone always thinks like, yo, this deserves to be on TV. I've been someone who thought the same thing. But one thing I've learned in this business, because in our business, rejection is part of it.
mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm spiritual, because when you get rejected in our business, you do music, I do television, there's still a level of rejection that hurts deep down inside. And you have to rely on a higher power to see you through it.
Yes.
And Grown and Gospel to me came at the most perfect time with the most perfect cast, because all of y'all either are related. You and obviously Jay Brooks are siblings. You and Elijah went to school together. So explain to the audience that the way this show came about, I think I spoke to you first, and then it was like, oh, I know this person, you know that person, and then it became what the show is today.
Everybody keep giving Elijah credit for putting the cast together. So I'm so glad you said that and it came out of your mouth, because
wait, no shade. No shade. Is everybody giving Elijah credit, or is Elijah giving Elijah credit?
And that part, the second part, but then everybody just assumed, like, you know, because he already, you and him were already associated, so you knew him already, so everybody just assumed that he was responsible for the cast. But give your girl some credit, okay? Come on, raindrops.
Yeah. Rain down on me. Yes. Come on.
So yeah, and it just made it easy to be vulnerable and transparent with your friends. It's not like, when I was on Sunday Best, I didn't know anybody. I'm sitting here with 20 people I've never met before. And everybody's sizing each other up and who can sing and who cannot. And they want you in the sound checks, listening to the other people. And you like, oh, she can sing. Wait a minute. Oh, what am I going to do? I got to change my songs up. It's so competitive. And you on the edge of your seat. It's cold in there. Everybody wrapped up with scarves. You get songs the day before, but you're up all night rehearsing. So now you hoarse the day you got to perform. It's like, oh, God, I can't win for losing. But doing this with 6 people I've been knowing 20 plus years, it's like, okay, now this I can do. And so it just made it easy. It just made it really easy.
And it made it easy for me because being from Detroit, I always wanted to do a show in my hometown, Detroit. I knew that I was onto something special the moment I met the entire cast. And here's some tea for y'all. There's some people who also auditioned or we spoke to. Either we didn't choose them or one person backed out. Just so y'all know.
And now they want to be on the show.
I know because I got the DM. And I said, it's okay. It's okay. Look.
Come on, come here.
We'll see what happens. Listen, the Lord blesses some of the season 2, baby. Let's go. But I knew I was onto something special. And I'm going to say this to you that I never told anybody. The Grown and Gospel cast reminded me of the first time I met the Love and Marriage Huntsville cast.
Wow.
And the one thing I always said about the Huntsville cast is it was lightning in a bottle because they have history that spans over 6 years of just hanging out, being friends, having that company, the comeback group. So when I spoke to all of you guys, I was like, Jake Brooks is her actual brother. Elijah and her have been friends since they were 12. Shayna is somebody she obviously knows. Nikki is like her cousin. And then just knowing Bree, I'm like, wait. And once I realized I was onto something special, it's when I fought tooth and nail to get the show seen because I love you all so much. I'm a Christian. I'm a Bible thumping boy, but I also know that being from Detroit, Michigan, when I was raised in the 80s and the 90s. Who I am today is different than what I was told going to Bible study or going to church. And I don't consider myself to be somebody who is super religious, but no one can ever question my relationship with God. And as an openly gay man, where people say gay is a sin, blah, 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 I know that I am where I'm at today because of God and no one else. And I knew that the 6 of y'all of Grown and Gospel represented the truth. Talk to me about you wanted to do this show too, because you wanted to give the opportunity to tell your truth and not have someone dangle it over your head as blackmail or something.
For so long, I think people, I was just saying this to someone the other day, there's a difference between conviction and condemnation. So the enemy condemns, the Holy Spirit convicts. Holy Spirit convicts you to bring about a change. The enemy condemns you so you can't change. He wants you to stay the same. And he doesn't want you to get into a place where you start understanding the redemption of God. So if I stay bound, if I stay condemned, if I stay ashamed, if I stay guilty, feeling like, oh my God, nobody's ever going to listen to me sing, nobody's ever going to, because I did X, Y, and Z, then I'm not believing in myself. I won't move forward in the things of God. I won't move forward in my purpose. That's basically like a walking dead person. You know what I mean? So if I'm not fulfilling the purpose that God has called me to and created me to do, why am I still here? Mm-hmm. What's your reason for living if you're not walking in your purpose? So I said all that to say, it was important for me to do this show so that I can say, this is what it is. And I chose to take a different route. I could have said way more. I could have, as they say, aired that. Oh, I could have really, you know what I mean? Because especially when you're hurting, and it's like, things happen, and were real situations that were happening, and they were real, and they were happening to me. You know what I mean? It's just a difference when you're watching something and you have sympathy and empathy for a person, and you're like, oh my God, I just empathize with you, or I just, I love you so much, and I want things. But when you're the person that it's happening to, and you gotta walk in church and smile and with a a nice little church suit on in the front row while your husband preach on you. The subliminals and all the stuff that people didn't know and that people didn't see. And then I got to hop on a plane and go sing and be celebrated all over the world and win awards and all the stuff that God has blessed me to do, and come back home and not my name not even called. No acknowledgement that I'm even in the building where I should be the most celebrated. So it was so much that I could have said, but I decided to take the power back from everyone that has ever done me wrong, misused me, mishandled me, abused, raped, anything, from every man in my life, starting from the men in my family that has ever done me wrong. I decided to tell the truth about me in my way, to say, I did X, Y, and Z, and I'm doing the work to not continue to be this person. And I'm doing the work so I don't have to continue to be bound by the things that happened to me. So it was really an empowering thing that I'm so free, Carlos. Like I can't even explain it. The freedom that I have right now because of doing this show. So thank you for allowing me to have this platform to be able to say, I'm just as messed up as everybody else. Like we're all trying to figure it out. We're all literally trying to master the human experience. I just do it with the Holy Ghost.
Yeah. Child, the Holy Ghost, and child, the shady ghost that be behind me, child. But one thing that that is touching me, I should say, is your honesty. Let's just get right into it. Last night's episode, child, we saw you and your then husband. Mm-hmm. You're now since divorced. Your then
Selah moment. Praise break. Okay.
Praise the Lord Jesus, honey. What I want the audience to know is this. Listen, this cast is like my kids. Because Dorinda Clark Cole, and you know this, Dorinda Clark Cole said to me, Carlos, I spoke to the other parents. You're the only person we trust with our children. So we love you, and we're going to let you do this show with our kids. I said, okay, got you.
Legendary.
The legendary, honey. Miss Rose herself, honey. Yes. So I said, I'm going to hold their hand, and I spoke to Tasha. Tasha said, Carlos, I'm going to...
Remember that day I called you bawling, crying?
She called me crying, y'all. I had to park my car. She don't know this. I parked my car. I sat in a parking lot. We cried, and we both gave each other, sermons as I was helping her heal. And I said to her, I will hold your hand throughout this process because I know that. Okay. The Holy Ghost is coming. Let me tell y'all something. Let's have a conversation.
Yes.
God doesn't want anyone to preach the gospel of phoniness.
Yeah.
When you are going through something, and somebody who I love is Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Yeah, she's amazing.
There's a couple of people you can't talk about around me. Oprah, well, first of all, Jesus, number one. Oprah, Tyler Perry, Beyonce, and you can't talk about the Roberts around me. Teray and Pastor Sarah Jakes. Yeah. If y'all got something to say about them, I'd be like this. Now look, child, I'm saved, but one thing she always talks about is the fact that she got pregnant at 13 years old. Mm-hmm. Her father is T.D. Jakes.
That part.
had to stand up in front of the church at 13. The fact that that woman did not allow that to condemn her. The fact that God knew what he was doing with that story. Because what y'all don't want to talk about is when you are going through something, if you really believe in God, you know that God is allowing you to go through it. Because he's going to see you through it. Okay. You telling your story last night was so special. You having to speak in front of the church, getting pregnant as a teenager. So you know what I'm talking when I'm saying that. You said to me, Carlos, I want to do this show because I want to tell my truth, but I also want to help out the next person. And the comments I've been seeing from PKs, baby, they like, look, what they talking about is true, and low key, it could be worse. Talk about your conviction.
Because we're giving y'all the PG version.
Be clear, it could be worse. It could be worse. So getting pregnant as a teenager, having to speak in front of the church with that, and then tell me how it was, fast forward to last night, having to tell the audience on national television, you having an affair on your husband. Child, let's talk about it, Tasha Page.
Okay, so growing up in the church, you don't understand accountability. And you don't always agree with the methods of our parents coming from a different era. How they were raised, and we didn't have the access that we have to research what's coming out of the preacher's mouth. They took it for point value. Okay, the pastor said it, that's what we're supposed to do. And the other preachers some of them were not educated. Some of them were just regurgitating what they were taught. So it's misinformation being passed down. Wrong. Do this because my grandfather did it. Do this because my great-grandmother did it. This is the way we do here, and this is the culture of the church. And the church is moving forward, and y'all still stuck. So that is a humiliating experience to have to stand in front of a room full of people that most of them are doing the same thing you did. I couldn't understand that at 17. Why am I apologizing to somebody who I know you having sex with that person? You cheating on your wife. We just smoked weed yesterday. Why am I saying sorry to these people when I already asked the Lord to forgive me? And I had a conversation with my parents. So I went to the people that are in my circle that mean the most to me. I think we have to band around and surround people. And yes, you have to have accountability for what you do. But we cannot demean, humiliate, because some people just don't make it back. I'm glad that I'm strong enough to say, I lived through it, I learned from it, but it just wasn't a great experience. Fast forwarding, a lot of things that happened to me in my life because being molested by my uncle when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and then molested by a woman from eighth grade, ninth grade, having that experience, and then fast forward, got in a car with a random guy that I didn't even know, with a stranger, because I was on drugs at the time. And when I say drugs, I mean I had a 5-year cocaine addiction. And I got into a car with a man that I met at a gas station, and because he looked like he had some money, and I needed money, and I had at the time 3-year-old son at home. And I got in his car, and we hanging out. I remember what we was drinking. We was drinking Patron shots and chasing it with Budweiser, drink and smoking blunts back to back. And I just blanked out. I don't know if he put something in my stuff. I literally opened my eyes the second time, the first time, and I was back in the car. And then when I opened my eyes another time, I was laying in the bed, and I'm trying to figure out what's happening to me. And I'm looking around, and I see him, then I see I'm like, what is this? It's like, it was blurry. I'm like, oh my God, I'm being raped. Like 5 men, five. And then they started scuffling and trying to, but having that experience, coming from where I came from in church, I say this all the time. For so long, I felt like I was serving the God of Lisa, or the God of Thomas, which is my dad's name. because you do it because you raised in it and they say this is what you're supposed to do. But in that moment, God became real to me because I never said it out of my mouth. God help me. I never said Jesus. I never said anything. I was scared. So I didn't want them to kill me. I didn't want them to, you wake up in the middle of this happening. You don't know what a person can do to you. They could freak out and stuff. Women get killed all the time like this. People, not just women, people. And so in that moment, I just started thinking the name of Jesus in my mind. That's how powerful God is. Like, I never said it out of my mouth. I was just thinking it over and over. And then it was just like, start scuffling, grabbing their clothes. We got to get her out of here. We got to get her out of here. So he became real to me. That's when I really started like, oh, I got to serve God for real. Like, God is real. That was the breaking point for me. And then fast forward now, going through, having now a second time being married. And I watched that clip last night and it brought me to tears when I said, I didn't want to be divorced for a second time. And I'm at 40 years old. It's just not a good look. It's not, you know what I'm saying? To the next potential mate, if I'm going to be with somebody, it's like, oh, you've been divorced twice. Your life is very public. You already got 2 children. You a grandmother at 40. Like, come on now. My options is getting a little slim.
I love you can find laughter through. That's why I love you so much. Preach on, Tasha, preach.
So looking at that last night, it was so hard to watch for many different reasons. And then realizing like a lot of the men that have been in my life up until this point did not handle me the way they should have handled me. And so yearning for a true love for your whole life, like it's just like, God, this has to change. And I believe that change always have to start within. So I take responsibility for a lot of things that happen to me. And this is going to sound so crazy, but I'm going to say it because this is my truth and my reality. I had to forgive myself for being raped. And the reason why I had to forgive myself for being raped is because if I never would have got into that man's car, I wasn't abducted. I wasn't kidnapped. They didn't grab me. Nobody forced me. Nobody made me. That doesn't let them off the hook because they never should have done that. But if I never would have gotten into that car, it never would have happened. So I believe that we have to have the hard conversations and take full accountability for the things that we've done and get the tools to not be that person again. You have a responsibility to get what you need so you can make the changes you got to make. So my life ain't been no cookie cutter, clean, nothing. I tell people all the time, Sunday Best is a reality singing competition. I ain't been the best at nothing. I've literally felt like I've mastered getting it wrong. So in this season of my life, I have to get it right. I have to. And I know now, if I didn't know it before, yesterday when I woke up to so many messages, so many women in my DMs, in my text, in my phone, calling me, so many messages on Facebook. Me too. It's me. I'm married to a pastor. I'm a preacher's wife. I feel like I'm not being acknowledged. I feel like I'm not being seen. I'm ignored. My husband was doing this. My husband was doing that. I just cried out to God today and just prayed like, God, please help these women and thank you for using me. So, I took a big risk doing this show. I took a big risk being a gospel recording artist and people talking about me. Why would you do this? This is career suicide. The church is going to shun you. When I woke up this morning and saw those messages, it's worth it. It's all worth it. I don't have a regret in the world for doing this.
Woo!
I don't.
Tasha, well, thank you for saying that. And look, one thing I was talking to, and again, this is tea for you, baby. I was talking to Ashley, the network executive at WeTV last night. And I was just saying to her that, she said, how's the cast doing? And I said, oh, baby, I don't think you understand. This cast is built for this. This cast knew going into this, I already know what I signed up for. No one bamboozled me. I'm not naive. I ain't dumb. I'm not gullible. I said, Look, this cast survived the shame of certain things that happened in the church. These folks on Twitter ain't nothing compared.
What? What?
This is Mickey Mouse compared to, I said, if anything, they can laugh with them, because I see you comment with some people like, okay, you won, that was funny. Like, not, this is why people always say to me, like, Carlos, I get calls from people, are you okay? So-and-so is saying this about you. And I'm always like, honey, did they spell my name right? My followers increased. And I know one thing about me, when people come for me, I wink at God and I say, I know you got something for me in store. I'm gonna trust you through this storm. And what I'm gonna do is be obedient. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, allow you to take me through this storm, because I know, baby, there's a pot of gold at the end. And this is why when you were with your then husband last night, honey, in your Victoria's Secret, baby, yes!
I looked at Dad and said, child, what are you doing? I was like, I said, Daddy, close your eyes.
Tasha, last night's episode, you do realize this. It belonged to you. But I also know that you watched it last night with your parents. How does your parents feel about you being on the show? Are you getting negative feedback from them, from their friends, the church? What's going on?
No, my family is so supportive. You know, my mother, my father, I'm blessed to have a family that, because they know me. You know what I mean? They know me. So it's like, you know, of course, nobody wants to be called a bully. And I think people don't know what the word bully actually means. Like, if you look up the word bully, it's talking about someone who has an intent to do harm, and you are coercing someone to do something you want them to do. So you got to remember that we're all friends on this show, and how we communicate, we talk to our friends. I'll be like, girl, you look a mess. That's how we talk. They would tell me too, like, no, those shoes are biscuits. Take those off. That hair. Elijah would tell me in a minute, that hair is not it. Like, I mean, that's how we communicate. So when I said it's giving Salvation Army-ish, like, baby, that's not. You coming to a birthday party, you know, you from Detroit, you know how to put on. What is this? I ain't bullying nobody. I'm just saying I don't like the dress.
No, and I'm glad you said that. Not to cut you off. We got to stop with these trigger words.
Yeah.
And that's why I was happy to talk to Bree. Bree even said, like, look, are those moments she's like, but Bree is like, I find funny in it. I find laughter in it. These aren't strangers to me. You're not a bully. The thing about you and Elijah, and I said this to somebody, you and Elijah, who've been friends since y'all were in middle school. And my favorite story is, you told me this, how you met Elijah, and Elijah lied and said he worked at a money exchange.
He hands to me. This is our first meet. This is the first time we lay eyes on each other in the hallway of our school. I'm sitting there in this, they used to call it like a mushroom. And I'm sitting there, and he walks up and gives me a business card in 8th grade, a business card. And I'm like, first of all, who has business cards in 8th grade? So I look at the thing, I'm reading it, I'm looking at him, I'm reading it, and I'm looking back and forth. Armani Exchange model, Elijah Con. And I said, oh, interesting. So Armani Exchange let you advertise that you're a model for them with a Gucci belt on in the picture? I said, you're lying. And I handed it back. And he looked at me and paused for a long time and said, we're going to be best friends. I lie to you now. That is exactly how that happened. And we've been like this ever since.
That's why listen. I understand that if you are being shown these people for the very first time, okay, you may think they're too much. But again, the one thing that I always tell my audience is keep watching. It's a journey. And at the end of the day, because I'm going to say this, and I want to hear from you too. You are also entertaining the audience, right? And if y'all sat there and didn't say anything, this show is so boring. They don't talk about anything. When you're damned if you do, when you say, well, I do feel like she's giving Salvation Army, is that the nicest thing to say? No. But it's how I feel in the moment. But guess what? Y'all talking about it. So
do I want the Salvation Army to endorse me? Yes.
yes. And even
I love y'all.
But that's why I love the fact that Bree was even able to say, I'm not being bullied. And I understand that this is how Elijah is, because they don't have a history. And a lot of people are like, Jay Brooks, check Elijah. They've known each other since they were teenagers.
Yes.
Everybody has that friend. I have them in my friend group. You have that one friend who's extra, and you just chalk it up as that's who they are. They mean no harm.
Mm-hmm.
They're extra. But talk to us about you and Elijah being labeled as bullies and mean.
It's you know, people just have to be careful, like you said, when you use words like bully, because there are people who are actually being bullied. There are children in school that deal with that, and there are young teenagers and children that have committed suicide behind being bullied. That's not a light thing to label or put on anybody. That could damage a person's brand or, you know, their ministry, their career, if you're labeling them as a bully. Opinionated, yes. You can say extra if you want to. You can say whatever word, controversial, any other word but that. You know what I mean? So that kind of bothered me a little bit. I didn't respond. I wanted to. I tell people my type and delete game is so strong. I be my phone in my hand. I can't believe it. Can't post it. Just don't respond. Don't respond. But with Elijah, let me touch on Bree too, because you said something about Bree. You have to know when you have a group of friends that have been around each other for years, right?
But let's emphasize that. Y'all been around each other since like 13 years old. It's been over 20 years.
And then Jay, because Jay's my dad and Bree's dad founded the group Commission together. Jay's been around Bree since birth, like since he was born. So my dad, Jay's dad and my mom got married when I was 14 years old. I'm 40. So we've always grew up around each other. And before that, we were just calling him Mr. Brooks because he was the producer of my mom's group. Witness started in 1986. I was 3 years old when he called my mom. She was working at a store called Myers. It's kind of like the equivalent to Walmart.
It's like Target.
Yeah. So I was like, she said she was a cashier at Myers. And then she get a phone call. They said, well, Lisa, you got a call. So she goes to the phone. She picks it up. Hello. Hey, this is Mike. I'm starting this group. It's called Witness. You think you want to be a part of it? You might want to sing? Yes, I love to sing. Yes. Hung with the phone. It's like the scene off of what's this Harlem Nights. Put your mom on the phone. Tell her I ain't never coming home. She told Myers I ain't never coming back. And she never went, she quit her job. And been singing and traveling on the road ever since. So we've been around each other. We know each other through and through. So it's not when we talk to each other, Bree has a tendency to play the victim. We know this about you. I've been knowing you for so long. And it doesn't mean that the real issues in your life are not real. It doesn't mean that we're downplaying the fact that this girl wants a relationship with her father. But I'm gonna need y'all to stop making videos about each other and pick up the phone and call. I'm gonna need you to stop responding to this show every week on Instagram and call Bree. I love the legends. I love everybody, and I got respect for everybody. People, if you know me, you know I do not disrespect. I'm big on honor, and I do not disrespect people who have paved the way. You can't take nothing from him. He is who he is. Can sing down, like, I mean, for real. I've studied his voice. I've listened to his music all my life. But I'm just saying, don't go live don't put up a video every week responding to issues. Call your daughter. Okay.
I said the same thing. No, I said the same thing to Bree. To Bree last week, I said, at the end of the day, my hope is that he picks up the phone, because when you are the parent, I don't care how old you are, you're the guardian for the rest of our lives. It is your job to always meet us and say, come here, because I don't care if we're 40, 50, 60. When you are someone's child, you still have this childlike presence around your parent. And Bree is a grown-ass woman, yes. At the end of the day, there's two things, and I'm just being real. That's a girl, a woman. That's a woman. And a father should always, when you have a girl, you should always say, F anything, come here. Because a girl's institution, her foundation, comes through her father. So I agree with you there. And I agree with, at the end of the day, don't clap back on social media, baby. Pick up the phone and call me, child. So I'm hopeful that this will allow them to heal.
Yeah.
The other thing about...
But the tough love has to come in when you love a person.
Yeah.
And as talented as she is, as brilliant as she is, as beautiful as she is, we see it. It's evident. She can sing. She could be a model if she wants to. She could be an actress. She has it. She has it. And it's like, okay, come out the pity party. Come out, come on. Like when I said, I don't want to keep hearing about what daddy didn't do. I don't. It's go time. Come on, Bree. Put the music out. This is how we talk to our friends.
And not to cut you off, in your defense, the audience is hearing this for the first time. This ain't your first time hearing this. And when you say, okay, mama, let's get over it, it's because y'all known each other for years. And I want the audience to understand that they have a history. So it may be the first time y'all heard Tasha say it on the show, because y'all meeting them for the first time. Yeah. It ain't Bree's first time hearing this.
And it ain't the first time I gave an apology for doing something either. So let's get on that. So because I'm seeing people saying, that is not a sincere apology. That is da-da-da-da-da-da. So two things.
Is this to...
Around.
Okay.
So we had talked about certain issues before, off camera, of course. You know, when you're in limbo and not knowing if you're going to stay together, if you're not, it's a lot of conversation. You know, he's all the way in New York. I'm in Detroit. It's, you know, flying in, flying out, talking on the phone, FaceTime, and just trying to see where are we, what's going to happen. So we had already talked about that. The tears done flow. We didn't have our emotional conversations and all. So on screen, I was big on not faking anything for the show. You know, I was big on that. So I wanted it to be real, and I didn't feel tears at the time. I didn't feel I need to cry right here. They just didn't come out. So I said what I said, and every apology doesn't have to be, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Sometimes it's just like, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have never, you know what I mean? And I shouldn't have used the word affair. Now let's dig into this.
Why?
Because I'm saying that because most of the time when you hear the word affair, you think a real blown out relationship.
Really? People think
sex with somebody ain't no affair, especially when you separated and me and you not even together. We about to get a divorce. So how is that when you think about it? How is that an affair on him? If we're just married by paper, it's just legal. Now that the last part after being divorced is just getting that judge to say, boom, it's done. With that emotional detachment had already started, we already had been separated. We live in the two different houses. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't touching me. so it's like, I think it was the wrong
So he
choice.
wasn't touching you. Y'all weren't intimate at all.
Here and there.
Okay.
But not really. So it was the wrong choice of words, but I still chose to do it because I had to make sure. It was a lot involved with, I got videos, I got this, somebody sent me this, somebody sent me that. And honestly, people are so weird, especially some church folks, because they will record you and you don't know you're being recorded. So I was at a hotel being interviewed by a musical director of a big, well-known church. And my then husband knew about it. I told him I'm getting ready to meet so-and-so. We get ready to talk about, they want to hire me at the church. It was at night. They had just flew in, but I've been friends with this person for like 4 or 5 years. I know his wife. We all kick it. We cool. So he knew where I was going. So I went. I'm in the lobby of the hotel. I never went up to the room. In the lobby of the hotel, we hugged. We walk out. We walk down the street to Junior's. Shout out to Junior's. If you know about New York, you know about Junior's. We have some dessert or something like that. I can't remember what I ordered. Walked back, sat in the car, talked about music, cried about stuff. Like, we just had a friend moment. I haven't seen him. He goes back into his hotel. I drive off. Somebody's recording this though. Sent the recording to him, my then husband, Veron. And now it's like, oh, you haven't. So it was all those rumors and stuff I dealt with, being accused of having all these affairs with different producers. I mean, like musicians at the church I was accused of sleeping with. So you got to understand, you being accused for 2-3 years of doing all this stuff you're not doing. So then by the time when we get separated, it's like, y'all done tried to put me with so many people. I might as well just go ahead and get me some. And that's where my mind was. I'm just being real and being honest.
That's honesty.
There was so many different accusations of stuff that was false that I wasn't doing. And then by the time I got back to Detroit, when I knew this thing was over, it was like, okay, you done held out long enough. You tried, girl.
Because a lot of people, again, I know you woke up this morning with a lot of text messages from people, and honestly, that makes me happy, because people on Twitter, when you said this, it almost broke Twitter. When you said 2 things. Number one, I don't want to be twice divorced by 40. And when you said something about he threatened divorce twice, and you had to deal with that. And people are like, twice? I may be okay with him saying it one time, but twice. And a lot of people went crazy for it. Was the D word dangled over the latter parts of your relationship?
Oh, a whole lot. Yeah, it was. And it's just, I made an emotional decision out of my loneliness. The marriage should have never happened. And I thank God that he used it to help build me. Like, I feel like my true ministry was developed through that wilderness season. And I just thank God, because I have such a close relationship with him now, because of going through that. And it's important that when you're going through things, you don't make decisions out of your emotions. Because of a decision I made out of my emotions, I suffered for 4 years. And I was very depressed, suicidal, and everything else. I could have died. You know what I mean? So I just want anybody watching this, please, like, when you're in your emotions like that and you're going through, don't make decisions out of, I'm lonely, I just need somebody so bad. Oh, okay. You need somebody so bad? Okay, here you go. You got what you asked for. It was just a terrible season. But I am glad that God is using it to work for my good, and to build other people, and using my life and my story. And it's not easy to watch at all. We had a watch party, and sitting there watching that it brought back a lot of emotion. It brought back a lot of, feelings. And I was just like, you don't know what people thinking, and to go back to your other point that you made, I've always been like this. I've always been fun, love to laugh. So, I'm going to make a joke out of it. I came out the room, Veron, are we still married? I want you to rub me down with this oil from the crown. I said, I got to see, they edited. They edited. I said, I got to speak your language. I want you to rub this down from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. Call me Daniela and put me on your road to Damascus. I had to make it funny. I'm a gospel artist and a minister. I can't be on TV trying to seduce somebody, even if it is my husband. That's a little too much. I was trying to play around with it to make it fun, but also I wanted the viewers to know I wasn't just bringing him here just to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, the end result of it was what I wanted.
Did y'all
And
end up sleeping with each other that night?
Carlos, yes, we need to drink.
All right. And he said, don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to, honey. Wow. Ooh, okay, anyways. Tasha Page Lockhart, look. Last night's episode 3, 100%, 100% of the audience loved it. Loved it. Because the conversations you have with your ex, the conversation you have with Bree, the conversations even Bree and Elijah had, it was even you and Shayna. So where do things stand between you and Shayna?
It's, you know, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm trying to choose my words wisely. Attention, platforms, TV shows, money, different things bring about a different version of people sometimes. And it's surprising me. It's really surprising me how she's kind of like really keeping this going. Like after we filmed, like really, really keeping this narrative going, trying to have conflict with me. When that information, I hope people got the point of what I was trying to say when we talked. That information was brought to me. And let's say, okay, if I tell you something, if I call you Carlos and I tell you something, and me and you are the only two people know that we just talked. I didn't tell anybody I had a conversation with her. I didn't get off the phone and say, oh yeah, Veron, I just got off the phone with Shayna. He wasn't even home when I had a conversation. So how did he find out that we spoke?
So let me explain it to the audience.
Okay.
Last night we saw you and Shayna Wilson have a conversation about something that affected your friendship. Mm-hmm. You are alleging that you and Shayna had a very private conversation. It was so private that what you share with Shayna, you only share with Shayna. You didn't tell Elijah, Jay Brooks, Nikki, nobody in the world. You only told this particular information to Shayna. You're alleging that information got back to your at that time, your husband. Yes. And in your mind, you was like, I only told one person this. It was Shayna. So clearly Shayna allegedly must have told somebody, but Shayna has denied it. Go ahead.
Yes. And so, I just decided to, and which you will see, people will see as they continue to watch. I don't want to give too much as they continue to watch the show, how things play out between the two of us. And then to have that attitude, like you coming to the table, you giving me, that's why I was like, if you came here to reconcile, that's not the attitude that you're giving me, because it's too snappy. It's too, it was just too much. And it's like, are you trying to reconcile or are you trying to check? Like, which one is it? Because I didn't go back and tell nothing you said. That's not the case. We're talking about something I called and told you that got back to me. So it's just, any way you cut it, trust was broken there. You know what I mean? And it's not going to return. It's not going to return because number one, we never were very close like that. We knew each other. She did my hair a couple of times. It wasn't like that. She had concerts. We were part of the same concerts. She brought me to her church to sing. Her mother and my mother were close. But her and I were never really close like that. We were just, I would say she was a friend, but not a close friend. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now I'm really about to drop something on you, because I'm big on saying something first. I'm big on it. So, and I gotta say this because I'm feeling like she probably gonna try to use this. So I'm gonna say it. So there was something I was trying to do, and I had a check coming. Like you got a big check coming, and it's in this. I'm signed up with the post office to where I can see my mail before it gets to me. So they send me emails and pictures of my mail. So I'm like, oh, Sound Exchange. I knew it was a big one because I went in my account on Sound Exchange and I saw what was coming. And I'm like, oh, and I'm trying to take care of something. So I called Shayna. I said, Shayna, can you front me X amount of dollars? I sent her a picture of the check and said, this is the check. It's in the mail. It'll be here in 3 days. Soon as I get this check, I'm going to deposit it and I'm going to send you back the money, right? I heard her in the background talking it over with her husband or whatever. She came back to the phone and she said, I can't do it. We got so much money out that we've given out to different people and they didn't pay us back. I would have done this for you because you're my girl. I would have done this for you. But my husband, he just said no. I wasn't mad. We got the phone. I was like, okay, well, when I get back in town, let's get together. But things went south with us after that stuff happened. So I'm saying this just in case she try to say, oh, but you asked me for some money. Now, bam, there you go. Let's blow up your hole. Let's blow it up. Let's blow it up.
See, I thought you was going to say if she would allege that that's the reason why y'all aren't as cool because you asked to borrow money and she said no, and that's the real reason why you mad.
Whatever the case may be, blow it up.
Allegedly.
Let's stop this. This got to stop.
Well, let's stop it because look, I want to see y'all reconcile. It's such a good show. I'm so proud of it. I feel like we're just getting started. I'm so happy that everyone loved last night's episode. Your story dominated the episode. It got a chance to see the vulnerable side of you. And I just know that helped a lot with people being like, okay, Tasha, fine, we love you. Like, but again, what we know about the audience is one day they love you, girl, the next day hate you, but you already know that.
You already know that. I know who I am. It's okay. Yes. And we wanted to give y'all a good TV show. Like, you have to be entertaining. And this is what's crazy. Even in the church, we don't want to sit and listen to a boring pastor. Y'all got pastors out here riding in church on donkeys for Easter, trying to do illustrated sermons to keep your attention span. That's 2 seconds. Come on. And then you say, oh, this is too much for me. This is drama. This is mess. It's like, come on, y'all. Come on.
Now, don't get me started on that one, but before I let you go, let the audience know, my raindrops, what they can expect for the rest of the season, because baby,
we got a few more episodes and you're still going to hear some more of my story. Some more that's going to unfold. I don't know all what was used, but I just thinking back at, some of the stuff we filmed, it's still a lot of unpacking. It's still a lot of, questions that are going to be answered, the whys. So, you're just seeing a little bit of, okay, you stepped out of your marriage. It was already a mess. Why was it a mess? What really happened? Like, you're going to get a little bit of that. And you're going to get the dynamics of seeing friends trying to navigate through, like the clip when you see Elijah say, are you going to get a divorce or not? Like, they were tired of, even though they were there with me going through it, it's just like, Tasha, come on now. You're not yourself. This is changing you. Like, what are you going to do? My mom even said it. So, Tasha, what are you going to do? You're back here. So I was getting that when I came back to Detroit. It's like everybody wanted me to make a decision right away. And I was just like, y'all, I'm just glad to just be out. I was in bondage. I'm glad. Let me just breathe. So you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see just, the ups and downs of friendships, trying to navigate in music career, family dynamics. You're going to see all of that, but just keep watching. It gets better and better.
It gets better and better. Keep watching. And baby, Elijah and Tasha get into it, and Jay Brooks steps in. That's all I'm going to say. With Elijah? Wait, go ahead, Tasha. What you say?
You're going to lower your tone. Elijah, please.
With Elijah, look, Elijah, but this is what I always tell people, and I'm about to end it, but again, it's not bullying, because the way Elijah treats Bree, you about to see Elijah give that to Tasha, and Tasha gives it right on back, and then Jay Brooks going to defend his sister.
He's worse with me. Off camera, like he is Elijah 3 hours before the watch party last night. Hello? What are you wearing tonight? Don't worry about what I'm wearing. Goodness. This is
Tasha, he told us that for the red carpet premiere part in Atlanta, he said he told you wear the blonde bob. It's your best.
And what did I have?
The blonde bob bit. All right, Tasha, thank you so much for not only doing this show, which is my now personal baby. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for telling your story. Let the world know where they can find you, follow you, and are we getting new music, baby?
You're getting new music. We're working on it. We're editing the music and making sure that things are right. I don't want to rush it. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I got to put new music out while the show is on. I'm not rushing anything. I want to make sure it's just right because it's so special to me. And then also we got to have a season 2. I'm putting it out in the atmosphere right now because y'all got to see the comeback. You got to see season 1. You're dealing with the issues. You're seeing a lot of crying. You're seeing me in that state of, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Marriage had me so bound, and I was in that state. But that was then. I'm a whole nother person now, and you got to see the turnaround because I'm telling you. So that's what my mind is. So I'm just hoping and praying that that happens. And if it doesn't happen, you still gonna see it. So that's what we're working on, because I want women to know, not just women, but people to know that as long as you have breath in your body, you have an opportunity to do something right. You can get it right. Whether that's getting it right with God, getting it right with your people, calling somebody, asking them to forgive you, or forgiving yourself. You have an opportunity to bounce back. So tap into your inner resilience that you have inside of you and make it happen and do the work. So I'm excited that you're having me on. I done made it on with the Reality King. I'm around. Mama, I made
it. Thank you, baby. And don't forget, Grown and Gospel comes on every single Thursday, 9:00 8 Central on WeTV. And you can check it out Mondays on the All Black app. Thank you, Tasha. I love you, baby.
Thank you. I love you too. Mwah.
Mwah.